Hi, guys, welcome to today's episode of the Lean Muscle Warriors podcast. I'm Francesco Pavone, your host. I'm the creator of the Ultimate Lean Muscle Challenge, which is basically a challenge which helped many guys over 30s looking and feeling great without a t shirt and just having a great relationship with food and their body. And today I just want to read you a message I received from Luca from London. Thanks, Luca. I recently joined a commercial gym and I have been consistently hitting the gym 4 days a week in the last 18 months. Well done. I am 178 centimeters per 85 kilos and I have gained 8 kilos in the last 12 months. That's pretty good. I focused on bodybuilding style of training and enjoyed it a lot. Although I doubted that on the long term, I won't be consistent and lose progress. I understand your concern. I have friends who goes to a CrossFit box and invited me for a workout. I decided to join them and I had fun, but I was sore for a few days after. I feel with you. What do you think is the best choice, considering that my goal is to look great all year around, and it would be okay for me to gain some body fat along the way if it's necessary step to grow? Thanks for your help. Well, thanks, Luca, for writing me. I think your concerns are totally founded, and I want to share my perspective. So, what you need to consider is that ultimately your body composition will be determined by your energy balance and as well from stuff like your sleep, your stress, your volume, your intensity, your ability to progress in your workouts and therefore to recover from your workouts. And therefore it's necessary to consider different values just to understand what's the best choice in terms of health, in terms of long-term muscle building and strength gain and cardiovascular endurance. So one thing that I think it's the most important thing is your adherence to the whole fitness game. Because what you need to keep in mind is that when we're talking about, for example, nutritional adherence or adherence to your workout plan, that's going to be the one factor that will produce the highest return of investment. And so you need to understand your preferences. You need to just ask yourself which kind of style of training you like at the moment. And I recommend that you don't overthink this because it's something that matter now. So if you are someone who enjoy more a kind of localized feeling of muscle work, I don't want to say the pump because especially the bodybuilders, athletes who follow even the recreational bodybuilders or gym goer who follow the evidence-based community, they are practicing a lot with compound movement. So I don't want to say that bodybuilders are necessarily, people who chase the pump. I think we are moving forward that many people are using a more smart approach to resistance training. So when we talk about bodybuilding, you can be consistent with it if you are a certain kind of person. So from my perspective, I was born and basically I was thrown in a swimming pool. And so basically I spent most of my life looking at a black line at the bottom of a pool. So I was okay with the feeling of, with the idea of training by myself and just, be on my own and focus every day being having to face yourself and every day it's just you against yourself. So as I step into fitness, it was totally normal for me to write down my workout, write down my performances, and keep record of my food. Those were like perfect things for me. They were kind of automatic. So I was able to make a huge progress in the first few years of training. And imagine, this is so funny. The first actually 4 5 months into fitness, I was following a workout plan which was more high intensity. It was the Kylite Sinus plan, and at the time it was very popular. And I kind of enjoy it, and I enjoy the benefit of feeling fit. And it didn't last long though, because it kind of reminded me of the whole idea of doing a lot, which I was used to. I spent most of my life swimming, and swimming is a lot of volume. So you train like 30 35 hours a week, sometimes 40 hours a week. So it's kind of a full-time job. And I stepped into fitness, and that was kind of similar. So to me, it was not the best first step, because I was like thinking, I'm not gonna do this for 20 years, right? Like, I don't think I can mix things so much that I can have fun while still progressing. So I switched to a more bodybuilding style of training, and that was the best choice. That opened up a whole new world. So for myself, in that way, I could stay consistent and make huge progress in no time. And the thing I realized that is that progress is quite slow, and it has to be consistent. Like, if you're not making progress every month, there must be an explanation. But it it doesn't mean that everyone should be like that. Some people enjoy more um, other style of training because um, they enjoy more the feeling of total work. So when the heart rate goes up, the feeling that their t-shirt is sweaty, and that they share the workout that is very different, and that is like new, has a new theme and a different theme every day. And yeah, they enjoy as well the idea of feeling fit and capable. So if you are someone like that, you might enjoy a lot the CrossFit community. But if we have a look at the health perspective, there are a few things to consider. So when it comes to CrossFit workouts, CrossFit workouts are a mix of compound movement, strength training, and metabolic conditioning. So more of an endurance training, and as well some hypertrophy work in there. But they said on average, they definitely include more cardio than a typical bodybuilding routine. So if you think that these have any superior benefit compared to bodybuilding when it comes to cardiovascular health, you might want to know that many of the benefit achieved through cardio are achieved as well through resistance training. And actually research shows that cardio is not necessary for cardiovascular health and other health markers when you are training with a resistance training program which gives you enough volume. Although there are some research that shows that a mix of resistance training and cardio is the best when it comes to improving many health markers. So even if more research is needed on the topic, we certainly know that if you are training at the gym, like in your case, 4 days a week, if you just add some cardio in there, which could be done in a way of cool down or warming up for your workouts, or just taking a long walk or a few long walks, or one cardio session a week of about 60 minutes, it certainly can help your overall health. So you can achieve these health benefits both with bodybuilding and CrossFit. If you choose CrossFit, that's already a default of the environment that you're gonna join, the community that you're gonna join. If you join bodybuilding, this I think many bodybuilder gets a bit lazy when it comes to cardio, but I think it's something that we can counterbalance with a very small step and a little effort. I, for example, have the not negotiable of doing at least 10,000 steps a day, and that's sometimes a little uncomfortable, but I'm happy to do a slightly uncomfortable thing. So, continuing about health, we certainly know that the injury rate in CrossFit is generally higher than bodybuilding. We know from research that the injury rate per 1,000 hours for CrossFit is 3.10 and for bodybuilding is 1. And we need to keep this in mind, considering that running, for example, have an injury rate between 2.5 and 12.1. So you see, these are all observational data, so we need to take them with a pinch of salt, but it's also something that we can observe as well from our community, from Instagram and Facebook, and the CrossFit community kind of workouts. One thing to consider I would consider your level of experience. So you've been in your fitness journey for just 1.5 years, and you're making consistent progress. So you have been consistent with your workouts and you notice some gains. So I wouldn't stop that because you are worried that you're not going to be consistent with it. Because as you keep training, you not only rep out and focus on the progress, but you learn as well what you're doing, and you try to listen to your body and understand what works for you. As well, you can apply those principles if at some point you get bored and you just don't feel like motivated enough to continue with your bodybuilding kind of training, then fine, you can approach a CrossFit box. You can have a look at their pricing. Many CrossFit box offer a monthly membership, but consider the benefit as well of having a team and having like a group of friends where you share the workout with, and you might as well get a kind of kick in the bum by being motivated from the rest of the team. So you might reach as well a level of intensity and volume that you were not able to reach on your own. Now, when you join, if you do it, make sure that your technique is there. Okay, make sure that you never put the theme of the day or the goal before your safety. This is one of the biggest risk when it comes to CrossFit. I love the idea of the community personally, but this has nothing to do with the injury rate of the sport per se. So this is something we need to keep in mind when it comes to our overall long-term health. But let's have a look as well at the muscle building perspective. I think the adherence here and your preference here make a huge difference, because let's taking a look at the long term. So we're talking about 10 years or more. We have a high risk of injury. So these on the long term compromise our possible ability to develop muscle. If you're interrupted along the way by an injury, this certainly doesn't help, and this limit your ability to build muscle. So as well, if it's a bad injury, you might as well struggle to recover from it. So you might as well develop imbalances or overload other muscle, because it's common after an injury to kind of trying to preserve that body part which got injured. So definitely something to keep in mind. And as well, we need to keep in mind that bodybuilding and bodybuilders are the best in finding basically what works best for them and what gives them the best bang for bucks. We've been reading a lot of research when it comes to volume and intensity and recovery and repetition in reserve. And when it comes to and bodybuilders are the best in understanding what's the fastest and most sustainable way to build muscle and lose fat. So if CrossFitter were the best and CrossFit was the best way to build muscle, we would see bodybuilders doing a lot of CrossFit. And this doesn't mean that CrossFitter are not muscular. Actually, we take a look at the CrossFit videos and CrossFit games, we can see that most of the athletes are not super skinny and they are actually very muscular, and this is because they push their body with a volume and an intensity that is necessary for that level. So when you think to CrossFit, you have to think as well at where you are right now. You can't think about stepping into a swimming pool for the first time and learning how to swim butterfly. You would start first from hanging on the wall and start making bubble underwater. So starting from CrossFit, if you are someone again who enjoy CrossFit and you want to gain some muscle, look great and feeling fit, definitely CrossFit has a setup which helps with all those things, but the risk of getting injured because of simply because you are not understanding what you are doing in terms of movement, or simply because the whole team is pushing you to kind of completing that last rep, but during that last rep, you get injured, and these end up with you having to stop the activity as well. So when it comes to instead bodybuilding, of course, bodybuilding offer you the setup for making the technique and the mind-muscle connection and the range of motion as well the priority. It's certainly not just feeling a muscle pump, and there are people who grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger videos and Ronnie Coleman, and the no pain no gain kind of part of the community is still alive, and I understand why he's alive. I understand that kind of passion, and we certainly know. I always keep in mind, and this is from an article I read from Alberto Nunez from the 3D Muscle Journey, and he was giving the example of two people doing bench press, and imagine you have a sibling and you are exactly the same. You start from fresh, you have 100 kilos on the bar, and you start doing repetition. So yourself, you stop at 10 repetition with the feeling that you could have done 12. Your sibling instead goes to 12. On the second set, you are able to do again 10 repetition. Your sibling have to stop at 6 repetition because he's tired and his chest is super pumped and he can't do more than that. On the last set, you do 8 repetition and he does only 3 repetition. Who do you think have totalized the most volume? Who do you think is going to grow the most? Who do you think is going to have to recover less? So by stopping a little bit shy of failure, with bodybuilding you are able to build muscle without having to recover so long and without having to be so sore after a workout. So bodybuilding on the long term is the one that will give you the best return of investment in terms of muscle growth, And if you follow a CrossFit workout, you're gonna be able to build muscle, and given the volume, intensity, recovery, and form and adherence is there, you're gonna be able to build muscle at the same rate as bodybuilding. So just understand your preferences, choose the one that you can stick to the most, and make sure that you are recovering and that you are actually progressing every week, depending on your nutritional period. So if you are in a nutritional, energy surplus or maintenance, you have enough calories to progress in your workouts. So if your goal is to build muscle, have a better health, better performances, better strength, and better endurance, you want to make sure that the intensity is there and that the volume is there and that you are recovering properly and that you are performing the exercise in complete safety and you are consistent with it. So these are my tips for when it comes to, of course, choosing between CrossFit and bodybuilding, for muscle growth and health. When it comes to endurance, I don't think there would be someone who disagree with me when we say that usually our community, if we observe at the data, CrossFit athletes are way better than bodybuilders when it comes to endurance, just because the kind of endurance that we are talking about is that what is commonly believed to be a mix of running or free movements, so a kind of a complex, like a barbell complex or a kettlebell complex. In those tests, CrossFitter are way better than bodybuilding, and this is as well coming down to the specificity of the test. So if we were testing, for example, a 40 rep max on the bench press, which is an endurance test, but is a localized muscle endurance test, bodybuilders would definitely outperform CrossFitter. I think though, if and this would be interesting actually, if you are listening and you've heard of any evidence about the topic, feel free to send it to me, and I'm happy to kind of put it in the episode as a reference or add it to the episode after. But I don't think when it comes to cardiovascular capacity, so the VO2 max and a proper cardiovascular health or cardiovascular endurance, CrossFit would definitely outperform bodybuilding. But just because metabolic conditioning and the resistance training in a circuit style is way more popular and more frequent. So yeah, something to consider. You go to CrossFit, you join a CrossFit box, you have the metabolic conditioning there, you know it, and this is going to be good for your health, your cardiovascular health, and your general fitness. So, Luca, thanks so much for messaging me. Guys, you can do the same. You can message me on Instagram on PT Pavons or on Facebook as Francesco Pavone, and I'm very happy to answer your question in another episode of the podcast. So you guys, if you want to look and feel great with and without clothes, and you want to have a great relationship with your food and body, make sure that you join my free Facebook group, The Lean Muscle Warriors, and you will join a community of people exactly like you, and you will be able to enjoy my weekly content. Guys, for today's episode is everything. We're gonna talk soon. From Francesco Pavone. Ciao, ciao.